Badly abused dog rescued from a pitiful life. LaCrystal Ricky saw a Facebook photo of the dog sleeping outside in a filthy armchair and knew she had to do something right away. He was out in a parking lot in this kind of not-so-nice part of town, Ricky, founder and director of Reggie's Friends, a rescue group in Houston, Texas, said. Somebody had posted that they'd gone to the gas station and there was this skinny dog. I wanted to pick him up because it wasn't a safe place. When Ricky arrived at the gas station, she looked for the dog, now named Anakin, but couldn't find him, so she turned to Facebook for help. I put up on the thread, "Hey guys, can you come out here? I can't find him. I'm going to leave him before the night because I'm sure he found a safe spot," Ricky said. The very next morning, 2 volunteers returned to that same spot. They started knocking on doors, asking people if they'd seen him, Ricky said, but nobody's seen him. Nobody's seen him. And then this little healthy female street dog popped up. We named her Tessa. She's trying to get their attention and leading them back to this little shack in the back where people have dumped all sorts of garbage. There were car parts and food garbage. Then they found Anakin. He was lying on the seat that you saw in the photos, Ricky said. Ricky immediately drove back to the gas station to get Anakin, as well as Tessa. Ricky thought that Anakin was just a very skinny, malnourished street dog, and was surprised to learn that the situation was much worse. We get home and he starts coming out of the crate, and we start seeing the massive infected wounds, Ricky said, and they're oozing, and they're still infected. My husband and I were like, okay, we need to get him straight to the emergency vet. Anakin had more problems than infected wounds. His entire body was covered in huge ticks, and chronic malnourishment had put a strain on his organs. The vet team at Blue Pearl Emergency Pet Hospital was also very concerned about something else. The vet said, "This is really bad. This is one of the worst cases I've seen. We're really sure that he was a bait dog," Ricky said. A bait dog is an animal who is used as a practice target for fighting dogs in training. People encourage fighting dogs to attack the bait dog while making it impossible for the bait dog to fight back. Ricky was not sure at first. "I didn't think he was a bait dog," she said. "That's a term I really try not to throw around because I think a lot of people really overuse that when they get an abused dog. And I was like, oh, he's got the scratches on his face. He's a street dog." Then they opened up his mouth and they showed me. Literally all his teeth have been pulled out. Canines have been filed down. And it's all systematic of him not being able to fight back. All these wounds that were oozing, they were oozing because somebody had sewn them up by hand. Then you take into account all the scars on his face and you start putting it all together. And there's no other answer. This was his life. He was a bait dog. The intent for him was not to live, basically, which is horrifying. Anakin stayed at the emergency vet for several days, and one of the nurses decided to do something nice for him and got him a stuffed elephant. Everyone at Blue Pearl loved this dog, and everyone was very invested in his well-being, Ricky said. And one of the critical care nurses decided that he needed his first lovey. So, when she went out to lunch on Sunday, she got it and brought it back to him. I think at first he probably didn't know what it was, but then he started to warm up to it and love it. "I'm willing to wager that it was probably the first one he's ever had in his life," Ricky added. "He definitely took some comfort in it, and it was an incredibly amazing gesture for her to bring that for him." When Anakin was stable, he was transferred to a primary vet for additional care and finally to a foster home, where he stayed until he's fully recovered. "He's very reserved," Ricky said. "It's going to take some time for him to come out of his shell and understand that there are people who love him and care for him and that we're not going to hurt him. And to know that there's always going to be food and sweaters and stuffies and blankets." This level of abuse is all-encompassing. It's mental, physical, and emotional. And it's going to take some time for him to put out all these things, Ricky added. But we feel very lucky that we were put into his path, that we were able to do this for him. Anakin is showing signs of improvement in his foster home, Ricky explained. He's gaining weight slowly and loving life in his foster home, Ricky added. He lives with 2 other dogs and loves it. He also loves sitting on the couch with his foster dad. If you know someone who might like this, please click share.